Kalamazoo County Democratic Party presents People and Politics, the award-winning program about issues and the people who make them happen. In today's program, Kids and Books Parties, Pat Ball talks with Mary Reif and Maureen Lachlan Cartmill.
Hi, I'm Pat Ball, and with me today are Mary Coletto Reif, head of the Children's Services at the Kalamazoo Public Library, and Maureen Lachlan Cartmill, a parent volunteer. Mary, Maureen, and I serve on a planning committee of activities for Children's Services. Mary, this is a special year for Children's Services. Would you please tell us about it?
Oh, it's an exciting year. We're celebrating 100 years of library services to children at the Kalamazoo Public Library in Kalamazoo.
That's wonderful. That's been a lot of years to serve the children.
Yes, a lot of years. I'm getting a little mixed up now. You know, I say 100 years and then I write 1996. Well, we started in 1896.
Wow. What about the library itself opening? When did that occur?
In 1872 was when they first established a library. In 1877, I was reading that they had, it was 5,050 books.
Jeez.
I think they may have had a children's book or two, but not many. They weren't really worried about that. They were trying to get some books to have for the people to borrow, as they say, to take them home and read. They didn't circulate. They took them home and read them. Terminology changes through the years. Then in 1891, they began building the old building that many people, well, maybe not many, but quite a few people remember in town, the picture of which is behind me here. Dr. Van Dusen, who worked, I believe, at the State Hospital, donated the money, and they built this, what they thought was a beautiful building, and it is a beautiful building.
It's gorgeous.
And indeed quite spacious.
Is that building still standing? It looks vaguely familiar.
No, that was taken down, well, prior to, not 18, but 1959, when the building was built that most of us know. That was on the corner, all of them were on the corner of Rose and South, between Rose and Level, between Rose and Level, on South, that's wrong, on South Street, between South and Level on South.
Right.
So it was a fairly spacious building, and they first had a room downstairs. They let the children go down there, but they had a case of books, they said, which I would suspect was a range of shelves, and they had probably no more than 3 shelves full of books. And then in 1896, on December 30th, they spent 3 weeks shelving books and getting them all arranged according to the annual report. And they then opened the library, this room for children, and they said they were amazed to see all the young children who could not yet read borrowing books as well as the older children.
Now, what made them decide to put in a children's department?
Well, for years in the reports they kept saying we need more children's books, we need to help the children, we need to educate the children and have them read good literature. And they haven't changed much. We say this now too. And we don't want them to read that cheap fiction.
Which was abundant even then.
Which was abundant even then. Of course, what they thought was cheap then, we might not think so now.
Right.
Yes.
It was really quite forward-thinking on the part of the librarian, Miss Roberts, who was really thinking about the children. And they did a lot of work with the schools. So they expected to help children from the schools work on assignments and so forth.
Great.
And then they even established some branches after they had opened the children's room in 1896. They even in 1909 they opened 2 branches, an East Main branch and a Portage Street branch. I don't know where the Portage Street branch was, if it's where the present Washington Square one is or not. Sure. And the East Main one, I believe, was down closer to town.
That's really interesting. I see we have several little pieces of information from the library.
This picture is where the children congregated apparently before they established the room and had the building, the Van Dusen building. And that looks like the glass lantern was powered by gas, we think, natural gas. And it was an old picture we have in the archives at the library, which someone blew up for us. Then we have Kalamazoo hired their first children's librarian, who was also the first trained librarian, and that's Fanny Kerr, who later became Fanny Kerr Walton. She came from the Carnegie School of Library Work. She was specifically trained for children's work, and they wanted her in the 1909 annual report to the board. They said they needed someone to be in charge of children's work, and they needed someone to help organize the branches, and they said while these women were doing a very good job, they needed someone who knew about the books and could do story times and who could organize the whole thing. Because apparently the branch librarians from East Main Branch and Portage Street would go to the schools and work with the children and the teachers. And so they hired Fanny Kerr. And she, she only died about 10 years ago. She was around 98 at the time, but she was a delightful lady. She told stories. She talks about in her first annual report that she had a club for boys and girls about books. Only the girls didn't last very long. It ended up that she had boys coming all the time, but the girls dropped out. She also did many story times, and she was noted for her Arthurian legends, which I wouldn't quite dare tackle. I mean, but apparently she did, and did a very good job. I asked her once if she would do that now. This was about 10 years ago, well, about 12 years ago, and she says, "My dear, I don't do that anymore." And of course, it's been a long time since she had. But she was quite a delight, and worked here in 1910 for about 5 years. Then she left library work and brought up a family and went back to work at Washington Square in the 30s and 40s.
How interesting.
And we have one other picture, which is the children's room, probably as Fanny Kerr Walton first met with it. It was quite a spacious room, and one of the reports they talk about it having a desk, which is right here, just like the big desk upstairs on the first floor, that it had lots of drawers to hold the cards, both borrowers' cards and book cards, and that it was going to be very helpful because those children were taking out a lot of books, whom they called kiddies back in those days.
Oh, yes.
And I got a big kick out of that. But it was a fairly spacious room, and I think we were very lucky. And they had to keep adding catalog drawers, and you see them right back there. Of course, now we don't have catalog drawers, we have computers, but this was one of the, well, this is probably like most libraries were back in those days, and children's room were. And you see there are a fair number of people in there. You don't see much of the room, really, but there are quite a few children. They talked about, this was in the report in the teens, that there would be as many as 1,000 children coming over after school.
That's quite a bit.
That's quite a few.
Quite a few.
I imagine they had assignments that help promote going to the library.
Or I wonder if ownership of books was not quite what it is now. And this would be a great source for them, great resource.
they always talked about promoting nonfiction and poetry books for children, too. One of the things they did when Fanny Kerr Walton came was they put the fiction on the bottom 2 shelves, the ones nearest the floor, and the nonfiction on the top 3 shelves. Well, back in the 50s, I realize that's 40 years ago, but back then they were doing the same thing, and they called it ribbon shelving. And I wouldn't be surprised if, give us another few years, somebody's going to talk about this wonderful invention of whatever they'll call it, with fiction on the bottom 2 shelves and nonfiction on the top 3 shelves. Who knows? Things seem to go around and come back.
Well, between Fanny and you, how many librarians has the Children's Department had?
There was Fanny Kerr Walton, then came Louise Singley, who came in the 20s. She had been in World War I working with the Red Cross in Europe. She came and was only going to stay for 2 years, and she stayed till 1945. And then came Alice Stevens, who I imagine some people in town are going to remember. Alice only died last year, and she was the head of Children's Services from 45 till 70, and then I came in, or 71, and I came in 72.
Wow.
We seem to stay quite a while.
I was going to say, it's a job that everyone seems to enjoy.
Must be.
Right, I think we like the challenges and knowing the people and the children. And after all, the people in Kalamazoo are quite something, because we were one of the first 12 libraries to establish a children's room in the whole United States.
Oh my gosh.
Detroit beat us by 5 months. They started one in May, and we started ours in December.
That's really exciting. That's good information to know, too. Speaking of the 100th anniversary of the Children's Department, Maureen, you have some things to tell us about some of the activities.
Right. Well, the 3 of us are only a fraction of the team or committee that's been working, really bringing some exciting activities for the upcoming year. We are going to start the year off, though, on the anniversary with a birthday party, a Kids and Book birthday party on December 30th. And each branch will be participating. We will have visual historical displays similar to the ones that Mary has shown us here. There will be music. We'll have refreshments complete with a birthday cake. You cannot have a birthday party without a birthday cake. We'll also be having an activity, and we're not going to tell you what it is right now, but an activity that focuses on some of the books that we've all enjoyed over the past 100 years, and that will be a lot of fun. And we're also having what we call a doodah drawing, and there will be 10 children selected at each branch to represent their branch doing the doodah parade in June, and I think that will be a lot of fun for the kids.
They'll really enjoy that.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun.
We also have musicians that are practically volunteering their services to play at all the various places.
Oh, there's been wonderful community involvement, and people have willingly jumped on the bandwagon to help us celebrate this wonderful anniversary. We've had florists, bakeries, just numerous businesses throughout the community that have helped in this effort, and we really want to thank them for all their efforts and their participation. We also have throughout the year, well, first I think I should mention where our branches and the times, because we will be advertising, but this is a nice opportunity to let you know. These winter holiday programs will be given to every private and public school child in the Kalamazoo area, and it gives an idea of all the winter programs that will be offered at the branches, and also for the birthday party, the different branches and the times of participation for our party. For example, the Alma Powell Library, the Eastwood Library, Ashtamo Library, and the Washington Square Library will be having their parties and their open houses from 2 to 4 in the afternoon. And then the children's room in the Central Branch, and this is something very special, the Bookmobile will also be participating, and they will be at the United Methodist Church next to D&W. It's on the corner of Oakland Drive and Parkview. It will be open for book exchange that night, and the United Methodist Church has graciously offered their facilities to help us celebrate in that area, and that's very special. We really appreciate their support, and that's from 6:30 to 8:30 in the evening. So I think the nice thing about this, it's a great activity, not only as a celebration and sharing with the community, but it also occurs during the winter school break. And so hopefully we're looking for families just participate. If not during the day, then they can join us in the evenings.
Right.
Or they can go to more than one.
That's right. You can stop at 1 from 2 to 4 and come join us at Central or with the bookmobile.
Yes.
So that's really, that's kind of fun.
Do you have a list of some of the musicians and performers that are going to be at the branch?
Let's see. Yes, we do. We have Ben Brown, who is a harpist. We have the Brook Farms String Band, John and Martha Cooch.
By the way, John and Martha Cooch, John Cooch's mother was a librarian at Central Children's Room under Louise Singley.
Oh, she was? Oh,
Yeah,
that's
so
wonderful.
they're delighted. They were very willing to come and just delighted. They
And let
live
me
in
guess, are they
Charlotte.
going to be participating at the Central Branch?
Yes,
Yes.
they wanted to.
Their choice.
Yes.
We also have the Lonesome Moonlight Trio and Music Then and Now. So,
That is a very nice lineup.
oh, it is. We were very excited to have all their participation.
Yes. What about some of the other activities that we have going on for the coming year?
Well, for the authors, we have just an incredible slate of authors each and every month throughout the year. I have to stop and give a special thank you to the Kalamazoo Public Schools for their generous donation that helped us bring these authors for all of us to enjoy throughout the year. And there are many, but I just wanted to highlight a few. We have, in January, we have Ellen Howard, and Mary, maybe you can give us some information about the author, maybe give us a little information. Ellen, by the way, these are all Michigan authors, save one, and I'm saving them for last. They're extra special. But these are all Michigan authors, and there's Ellen Howard, and she's from Kalamazoo.
Right, she's from Kalamazoo. She walked into the library about 4 years ago and said, "Hi, I'm Ellen Howard. I moved from Oregon, and I'm now living in Kalamazoo." And she just had a book come out, and we had a Meet the Author night for her. And she's been most generous with her time visiting the library, actually libraries, because she's been at all the branches. And she's going to be visiting 2 schools, 3 schools actually, in January. One of the things that the library has always done, Children's Department has done, has cooperated with the schools and tried to promote literature and books, reading, what have you, in the schools. So this is certainly a natural to bring in authors and have them visit with the children.
It's a wonderful opportunity.
Yes.
In February, we have 2 authors. We have Carol Fenner, who is from Battle Creek, and Patricia Polacco from Union City. And if I'm not mistaken, isn't Carol Fenner a Newbery?
She's a Newbery Honor Award writer.
Right.
She's going to be the first week of March because she couldn't fit into February because the schools preferred to have the first week of March. So we try to accommodate people, but she has done wonderful things, and her recent book is Yolanda's Genius, which is just a terrific story of a relationship of a brother and sister, and the older sister is quite protective of her brother, who is a genius as far as goes playing the harmonica. And of course he is younger, and she does feel the need to protect him. Beautifully done story.
Then there's Patricia Polacco, who is so enjoyable with her folk tales and her really entertaining illustrations.
Right.
And it's also nice, too, because each of these authors usually does a book reading at the time, so it really brings their own personality to the books. My daughters have always really enjoyed that.
She's here on a special day. She's here February 14th at our Eastwood branch, and she's going to do something with the children and then be there to autograph books. So we're looking forward to having her.
Now in March, and correct me if I'm mistaken, we have a Madeline resident. We have
Yes.
Miriam Batami.
That's correct.
Very good.
Miriam teaches at Western, and she has, I believe, 4 books. The latest being, oh boy, I'm not going to get it right. She has one about, it's an intergenerational story of a multicultural neighborhood, the relationship of an African-American child and an Italian man. And there's a wonderful, wonderful tale in there where they get ready for a potluck, where he makes cannoli and she does sweet potato pie, and it's just great. And something about the frost, it's not when the frost is on the pumpkin. I did not write it down, and I'm going to have, I should really slap myself for that one, but call the library and we will tell you, we'll have it.
You'll have to come.
Another one is Elijah's Dream, which is a wonderful one too, which is while it takes place, it's about a Jewish family. It's the relationship between a daughter and her father, and it could be any family. It's just wonderful.
Great.
So it's
a beautiful story.
It's a beautiful story, right?
We'll jump to May. We have Wendy Anderson Halpern, who is from South Haven, and she was just recently at a book signing at the Central Branch too. She probably made other visits. She usually does.
Yes, she and Ellen were at one of our Meet the Authors. She does a wonderful thing with children where she has them draw. And she's going to be at North Glade and Northeastern School, and we will probably have her at, well, probably Eastwood, but not necessarily, whether Eastwood or Powell, for a Meet the Author time in that period.
And we should say she is an author-illustrator.
Right,
with
now she is.
Absolutely fabulous illustrations. And I remember her comment, and it really stuck. It takes 2 years for her to complete the selection illustrations for one book. And they're just, the detail is just amazing.
Right.
You could scan a page for forever just noticing all the work she's done.
She did one book where she has a quilt design, and there are 142 squares all the way around the pages, and they're little tiny squares like 3/4 of an inch maybe, or half-inch square. They are just wonderful. Her first one was Hunting the White Cow.
Oh, that was great.
And that too is just great, because not only does she have the main story and the main pictures, she then underneath, at the lower part of the page, has another story going on.
Yes, that's true.
So they're very clever. She researches the period that the stories take place in, and she is great with kids. She really is.
In October, someone who's very familiar to us, especially in this area, is David Small and his wife, Sarah Stewart. David, in his own right, is a wonderful author-illustrator, but he and his wife, Sarah Stewart, have collaborated on 2 books and now an upcoming 3rd.
Yes, and the 3rd is called The Gardener. And if anybody knows Sarah Stewart, they'll know that she is quite the gardener. This has, I believe some of the scenes are from their home in Mendon. Some of the flower things that he did are from their home in Mendon. And she is a gardener extraordinaire, really. David goes along with it, but I think he really likes to have Sarah tell him what to do. I've even been out there and waited a few times.
Oh my gosh. Well, they're delightful
they are.
when they come, because they ask, there's a lot of interplay, questions and answers. It's fun to watch the 2 of them work a room. I mean, she'll just feed him questions, and they'll talk to the children about how he got started in writing, and really inspires the children. I remember my daughter just running home, and she had to start writing, and she was only 6. And to start writing, so, it is. They stimulate the children to think about reading, to live books, and it's really enjoyable.
Well, we just had him a month ago, wasn't it? 10 Weeks Suit,
right.
Which is a wonderful story of a suit that takes over. Has a life of its own.
And the, what would you call it? The moral of the story was, the suit does not make the man, or clothes don't make the man, or it was great.
That sounds like quite a few
It is.
authors coming up in I know there are more.
Well, the one, do we have time to get this one
Sure,
in?
yeah. Squeeze it in.
If we had a drum roll, I'd ask for it, because we have the Pinckneys coming, and they are just a wonderful family. Mary, would you like to tell them about?
There's Jerry Pinckney and Gloria, his wife. She has written some tales now, and he does the illustrations, and they have a son by the name of Brian who also does illustrations. Both Jerry and Brian are certainly wonderful artists in their own right, and they are wonderful people to be around. They have done many programs, well, particularly Gloria and Jerry have done many programs in schools and in various neighborhoods where they meet with children and families and just talk about their life and how they write. And he's very inspiring. Both of them are. We did have Jerry here around 10 years ago, and he had children drawing. Not right there, but children came back with drawings that they had done.
Well, the chance to get them was some cheers went up when we heard that we'd secured their visit. It really is so exciting. This entire year is really exciting.
This whole year is going to be just wonderful as far as activities for children's services and the library in general. Real quickly, can we talk about future plans and projects that are in the works?
Yes, we've gotten into technology at the library, and one of the things we're doing, we're on the library homepage, we're going to have a children's page, and in that, on the agenda or menu or whatever you call it, my terminology might not be correct, we will have listed author pages so that the people who are coming, you may key in and find out who's coming, and there'll be a picture of their house and information about them, a list of their books. And also we're hoping to have a day where the authors are down at the library, maybe more than one, and schools that have the ability can have their children call in or write in questions. There's also going to be an author suggestion box. So if you have a question for an author that's coming, you may submit it.
Great idea.
That won't be going till after the first year, but we are working on that right now. We're trying to get up to the, work up to the 21st century.
It's an exciting time to be a child in the library.
We hope so.
It sounds like it. Well, I really enjoyed listening to all the activities and things that are going on with the library, and hope that everybody in the community can make it out to find out what's going on, starting with the open house December 30th, and all the special plans going on with that. Is there anything else that either one of you'd like to add?
I'd just like to say that I hope on the 30th we have families there that, like 3-generation families, grandma and grandpa and parents and children. And I know that when we had our 90th, that we did have some of that. And I think they can share some wonderful ideas and reminisce about how they visited their library in that day.
If they have any questions, or they desire more information, or maybe they'd like to volunteer and help in this wonderful event, they can call the Central Branch at 342-4859. I personally can use more volunteers for that open house, and if they'd like to join us, we'd be more than welcome to have them.
Great. Well, thank you for watching and sitting in on our little chat here. If you need more information, you can call the central office at, could you say that again?
342-4859.
And we'll see you at the Kalamazoo Public Library's birthday party. Thank you.